What's going on, y'all? I am out here today. I got my Hobie Lynx, and I have had a ton of questions from y'all asking me how I like my Hobie Lynx. I have now owned it for a year and a half, and I am going to tell y'all the good, the bad, and the downright ugly about this kayak. So everything y'all have been wanting to know or need to know if you're looking at purchasing a Hobie Lynx will be in this video. This is the truth about the Hobie Lynx. All right, so first we're gonna break down what's good about the Hobie Lynx, and the first one is probably pretty obvious, y'all. It's one of the biggest selling points of the Hobie Lynx, and that is gonna be the weight. It comes in just under 50 pounds. You see I got it rooftop loaded on my car right now. I'm gonna show y'all how I unload it and get it down to the water. All right, so unloading this thing, pretty simple. Just grab it right here, pull it off the racks, grab underneath it, boom, and pretty much suitcase carry this thing down to the water. Just like that. So that is one of the only kayaks that I'm able to pretty much manhandle, picking it up, putting it up on the top of the car, and then just carrying it down to the water. So that right there is one of the top selling points. The weight of the kayak makes it very attractive, coming in under 50 pounds. And the second excellent selling point about this kayak is that it is extremely stable. Sitting here standing up, no problem. I could sit here and fish off of this thing all day long, standing up right here. At no point do I feel like I'm gonna flip or anything like that. It is an extremely stable kayak. I have been caught in some really bad conditions in it, and I never once have felt like I'm gonna flip in this kayak right here. It has got amazing stability. All right, and then so the third good thing about this kayak is that it has effortless pedaling. I can pedal this thing all day long. So this kayak filled with foam does not sit in the water hardly at all, maybe an inch. So it's not down in the water. So as I'm pushing those pedals, I mean, it really just moves me, and I can get this thing going pretty fast. But yeah, I mean, it's just effortless because I'm not having to dig into the water to move the kayak, because it sits up on top, which allows me to go a lot further, a lot longer on this machine right here. All right, so the fourth and final good thing about this kayak is the amount of control that I have fishing off of this thing. So got my rudder right here that attaches to my seat. I go to turn that rudder and it just spins me on a dime. So pretty much just allows me maximum control. If I want to go left in this kayak, it goes left. If I want to go right, it goes right. I turn the rudder, the kayak turns. I actually, and this is the truth now, I have more control fishing out of this Lynx than I do my Hobie 360. And the reason being is my Hobie 360 sits down in the water. So once the current grabs the kayak, I have to counteract that and really get my pedals moving hard to push against that water that's grabbed the kayak. Well, with the Lynx sitting up on top of the water, the current and the wind has little effect on this kayak. So I'm sitting here, just micro turns of my rudder allows my kayak to turn left and right. So as the current grabs me or something like that, just barely turn on the rudder, hit the pedal a little bit, and it keeps my nose pointed where I want to go. This kayak has more control than any other kayak I've ever been in, and that's the truth. So moving on to the bad about this kayak right here, we got three things to point out to y'all. The first is that it is an extremely wet ride. If I'm faced with any chop or anything coming off the bow, water hits it, if I'm hitting any waves, this kayak cuts straight into it, which causes a lot of splash, a lot of hole slap. It is a little bit noisy too. We can add that to the bad, but you're gonna get wet in this kayak unless you have a glassy day like we have today. If it ain't glass out, you're gonna get wet, and that is a guarantee. So the second bad thing is that there is no onboard storage on this kayak except behind the seat. Behind the seat right there, I got one pouch. So if I want to put my phone, wallet, keys in there, it's in there, but it's not protected from the water and the elements. If for some reason I were to flip this kayak, the chances are that I would lose those things. That's not a huge deal. You can get your own secondary storage. You can get a storage container and, you know, lanyard that to the kayak. There's some tie down points on it where you could, you know, strap it to the seat or something like that. But I feel like they could easily put some sort of deck storage right here. And I know this isn't a deep kayak and I know it's filled with foam, but if they just had a shallow bin right here where I could open it up and just fit phone, wallet, keys, maybe just some small tackle items, whatever. If you have some small items you wanted to store out of the elements, I feel like it would be nice to have something on this kayak where I could keep my stuff out of the elements. So the third bad thing, and I feel like this is major, it's definitely major to me, is that this kayak doesn't come with H-rails and it doesn't come with turbo fins. So I had to add turbo fins to this kayak, a couple $100 there. Had to add the H-rail, a couple $100. I believe probably, and I'm just guesstimating, I've bought this over a year ago, but I would say around $350 for me to add the H-rails and the turbo fins. I feel like that is so simple for Hobie to come out the factory with H-rails and turbo fins. I don't know anybody out there. There may be a very small percentage. I'm gonna go on record to say 99.9% of the people who buy this kayak would not mind whatsoever it coming with H-rails and turbo fins, and that is one of the first things that everyone adds to this kayak. So it just adds another $400 of expense to the kayak, and I feel like that's totally something that Hobie can come out the factory. Why don't these kayaks come with turbo fins? It makes no sense to me why they wouldn't have that part of the package. And then H-rails, so simple for them to put that on there out the factory and add to the overall value of this kayak, because that is one of the first things that I added to it. I feel like if you're going to attach anything, whether it be a fish finder or camera mounts, rod holder mounts, whatever you're going to attach to it, you're going to need your H-rails on there. Sure, it does come with some track mounts on the side right there, but having an H-rail is I mean, you gotta have it. Not only that, but your H-rail also gives you a buffer on your deck. So my paddle, if I kick my paddle, it keeps my paddle from flying off of my kayak. Also, if I had a rod and reel or something like that and I wanted to set it down on the deck, if I accidentally kicked it or something like that, the H-rail would give it just a little extra protection buffer to keep my gear from just flying off the water, because otherwise it's just a smooth deck, there are no gunnels, and it's easy to kick stuff off and lose your stuff in the water. So those are the three bad things about this kayak. Now we're going to get into the downright ugly. I'm going to head back to the ramp because this I have to show y'all, and it may be a deal breaker for a lot of y'all. All right, we are back at the ramp now. I am about to show y'all a major disadvantage when it comes to this kayak right here. So this Hobie Lynx, like I said earlier, it only weighs 50 pounds or a little less than 50 pounds. But I think one of the ways that they got it to weigh so little is that this material is extremely thin. It's filled with foam on the inside. So if you get a hole in it, it's not like you're going to take on water and your kayak is going to sink. But let me flip this down on the bottom side and show y'all some of the stuff that has happened to this kayak. So up front right here, we've had a crack that we've had to patch right there. So I got a crack right there. I've had a hole right there that I had to patch. That was one of the first holes that I had to patch. As you see on the side right here, I have a long stress mark. Have no idea how that got there at all, but it's a long stress mark, and I'm getting to where I can almost see the foam on the inside. I don't really know how I'm going to repair that. I might have to, as it develops a crack, drill holes on both sides to end the crack from forming, and then kind of patch along that side right there. We got some mud on it, but there's another patch right there. You see that hole? I had to patch that. And you see on the back that we're getting these stress marks that are forming right here. I've seen a lot of people who are buying these kayaks, one of the first things that they're doing is putting gator patch, and they're protecting kind of the weak points, I guess because it's kind of one of the known flaws of this kayak. So they're just being a little bit more retroactive than I was, or proactive rather, than I was. But here's the thing. So the same thing, just like on the other side, forming some stress marks right there. You see a gouge where I hit an oyster or something right there, and you can just see it, right? Now, here's the thing, you know, patching this kayak is a lot easier than patching like a Hobie Pro Angler or your traditional style kayak, because those kayaks are made with high density polyethylene, and you can't buy JB plastic weld and patch those because it will not stick. You have to do plastic welding to repair those, which takes a lot more effort and work, and it's a lot easier to screw up your kayak. With this, all I got to do, go to Lowe's or Home Depot, pick up some JB plastic weld and mix it real well, rub it on there, and it's good to go. Or you can buy some, like I said earlier, some gator patch, some other stuff. That stuff is expensive, and that's another 200 bucks or so. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. 200 bucks or so to lay that down to protect your kayak. But that is really the bad thing about this kayak, is that it is not rugged, it is not durable. I'm gonna make one point on that too also. I don't drag this kayak around, right? It goes from the rooftop of my car, I carry it, I set it in the water, I rig it up, and then I push off. So it's not like I'm dragging this thing all over creation and dropping it and doing stuff. I have really no idea. I mean, that's probably formed from me coming into a ramp or something like that, and maybe hitting an oyster or something right there. I really have no idea how these are forming, no clue. You know, as we're sitting here and we're kayaking around, like I'm in salt water, I fish inshore, there are a ton of rocks, oysters, and things like that. So you never really know what you're gonna come across and hit. But anyways, that's the video. I hope this stuff was helpful and helps navigate y'all through your Hobie Lynx purchase. I do love this kayak. It has done a lot of good for me. I use it a lot in some marsh systems, and it really is an amazing machine. But I wanted to bring to y'all some of the good, some of the bad, and some of the ugly. I hope this video was helpful. If it was, leave a like, comment with any questions, subscribe if you haven't already. We'll see y'all next time.